Hello YouTube, Ronan Kazi. Not messing up the beginnings like I used to a little bit, and I need two hands. I got to figure out a way to automate this. I'm sure I can do it. Just don't have the time. Is that thing loaded? Last time we left Star Wars The Old Republic with Ronan Kazi, we were on the planet Balmorra. We had finished about half the mission on that planet. Now we're doing the final mission. Unfortunately, YouTube, I'm stuck with Doc. Have you ever been forced to do something with someone you didn't like? Someone you didn't want with you? Maybe you were in grade school and maybe you had a project and you really wanted that cute person over there, but what you got was that person right next to you and you couldn't stand it. And so these thoughts of all of this happening weren't what you wanted, but eventually it turned out to be okay. I'm with Doc. And how do I say this nicely, YouTube? Doc is less than sign. He's less than. Let me get rid of this fake mic out of here. Let me put it down here. Maybe you'll think I'm talking down there. I'm with Doc to do this final mission because I'm on the planet where I pick up Doc. Star Wars Old Republic is a great game. You always get a companion. In general, that companion for me is always a healer. I could have a more tanky companion, then I'd have to heal them up. I probably could do some other combinations. I'm just comfortable with me doing the damage and my companion healing me. So I'm on this deal with Doc. I don't want Doc. I got T7. I was happy with that. I have Kira. She's okay. She's my Padawan. Doc was a person on this planet, on Balmorra, that now has decided he's important enough for me to come on this mission. So maybe there's times you don't have the exact team you want, but you still need to succeed. Yeah, sure, part of all of us would say, maybe if I just failed. Maybe I could get rid of Doc and his stupid mustache. But YouTube, we talked recently about throwing the baby out with the bathwater, and this would be the same kind of, this would be cutting off your nose to spite your face if you lost, just to get rid of Doc. And I don't mean this channel to be old person saying channel, because that's not really what it is. I'm sure I can find a modern analog for that. But what do you do when things are less than optimal? Well, in my experience, just succeed anyways. Just succeed anyways. What you imagine, the future state you imagine, isn't the same as what reality is. I'm going to bring this back to golf for a second. I know this is like out of left field. When I was in high school, I golfed. I started golf. I think I said this before, but I started golfing to play with my dad. He was a heavyset guy. And the idea in the family was if I played golf, we'd go walk around the golf course. And he would lose weight and he would live a long time. Well, YouTube, my dad wasn't going to walk around the golf course. He got a cart. So whenever I played golf with my dad, we were in a cart. And when I first started playing, I had a set of garage sale clubs. I think the 7-iron was the best club in that. My mom had bought these clubs at a garage sale. Garage sailing. Another day. Another topic for another day. So I started playing golf with these clubs. And I had a book. It was called... so back then, there was no videos. So there wasn't really TV. So I read books. And there was a book that always stuck with me, Ben Hogan's Power Golf, I think the name of the book was. You could flip through the pages and it would show the swing. It was a book ahead of its time, YouTube. And what I found after a while, I read a lot of different things. And let's say this is between like 1981 and 83. And one of the things was visualizing your success. You'd stand over your ball And one of the things you do in golf, you have like a pre-shot routine. And what you're trying to do is repeat, your best shots. So part of this would be visualize success. And that was the first time I had heard that. Like, that was like, wow, it's 1980. And you'd have sports psychologists talking about it. And now this is just a common thing. But I think I've always done that. I think you've heard me say, you have to think of a future mental state where you're going to be and what you want to achieve. And normally this is when I'd ask you to like, subscribe, share, unsubscribe, resubscribe, comment when the comments are working, hit the notifications, trying to get to 500 to monetize channel so I can start doing, I'm probably going to do laptop reviews anyways, but I'm going to be stuck to the machines I have, so it's going to be very limited. I do have some laptops, but some of them are so old, no one's going to buy a laptop like that. Anyways, YouTube. So this visualization, the thing that you really don't do in the moment, you're trying to visualize this golf shot and where it's going to go, but you don't visualize how you're going to feel, or at least I wasn't smart enough to do that. So one of the things that happens here when Doc's going to go with me on this deployment, I'm not sure how it's going to turn out. I mean, I'm going to have success, but I don't know how I'm going to feel about Doc. The main thing I don't like about Doc is his stupid language. So imagine if Doc was a real person, I could say, I would have probably cut him to the quick, immediate, been like, dude, I don't want to hear, hey, sweetie pie, why don't you, I don't want to hear that. I'm a Jedi, and I will. That first dog was Caesar. The second dog was Roxy. And poor Macy might be right behind me. Yes, poor Macy is right behind me, just sitting there, enjoying life, while the other two nut up. So part of this visualization is if you can't possibly get everything all together. You can't possibly imagine every single state. That's a lot because you're just focused on getting something done. So I don't really think about how it's going to be. I'm still going to be successful at Doc. So what's the problem then? And that comes into another thing. When you're thinking about things, when we say in your personal way, when you're thinking of cogitating, or you're thinking about or deciding or creating some thoughts about something, we ask you to be objective, or we ask you to think of everything. You can't think of everything. If you want to have a great example of this, Richard Feynman, the physicist, came up with Feynman diagrams. And in quantum physics, to do some of the calculations, you have to calculate every possibility. But what he found was you can't calculate every possibility because it's infinite, YouTube. But with his diagrams, you could get close enough, and then you can do some other things where it's good enough. And then you might add on another piece to make it more exact. But we don't always have to be so exact in everything. Everything doesn't have to be 100% contemplated. In a video I did at one point on this channel when asking why I'm problem solving, you're going to do a Pareto. A Pareto, geez, I just stopped the video. Oh, this is going to be bad, YouTube. I might have to end it a little bit early. I was trying to keep the iPad going. Sorry, YouTube. So one of the things that happens is you get close enough with some of the stuff. I just completely lost my train of thought, so let me see if I can get it back. Where am I, an old codger? Roxy, come on. You get squirted. So there's a thing called Pareto, which was a person that said, there's certain possibilities that are more likely than others. I like how that dovetails nicely into quantum mechanics. It's all about probabilities. A Pareto is like, you look at the past. Let's say you're buying, part of my job is to guess how many people are going to come to our events and then buy enough food for them. And so I look at the last events. I look at my 3 biggest events. Am I anywhere near my 3 biggest events? Do I know what happened to my 3 biggest events? Did I have a certain guest? Blah, blah, blah. I didn't. Then I guess it's going to be more like the average attendance. And so you're using all of these things as a way for you to find what answer could be to a problem. When I ask you to think of everything about something or consider everything, you're going to consider about the more likely things, not just every possible thing that's going to happen. This video is, I'll have to check it. I don't know why it looks bad now. That's post-processing, YouTube. So there's a lot of language you use about around thinking and everything, and we speak in absolutes. We don't really compute in absolutes. You can't think of everything. If you thought of everything, you'd never do it because it'd be an infinite amount of thoughts. So you have to structure to a certain level of thoughts. It's kind of like and then theoretical infinity versus regular infinity. Between 0 inches and 1 inch, there's an infinite amount of numbers, but in reality, 1 inch, the measurement is a finite distance to cover. We can cover that, so we cover the infinite. So that's kind of a trippy, paradoxical kind of thing with the word infinite. So we talked last time about the definition of words is really important. We're never all going to have it, so we're never going to be able to all come to the same consensus about everything because we're just not dealing with the same deck of cards, right? We all have our own deck of cards. We all have our own experiences, and I'm stuck with Doc doing all this stuff with Doc. And I didn't want to be with Doc. You may not want to be on a team that you were in grade school. You might have gotten to high school. You don't want to be with those people. There might be a lot of things. You might be on a job in college. You might want to sit next to a more attractive person. There's a myriad of things that you do that the possibility, she's getting squirted. There, squirt, squirt. There's a myriad of things that you might want to do. You have no control over some of those things, and they're not going to be as bad as maybe you thought about them. And sometimes YouTube, they're worse than you thought about them. So, what to do? Well, in those situations, I like to eliminate all the variables, and I just got to succeed no matter what. So maybe you have to carry somebody, and that's okay if you have to carry somebody. That's just going to happen sometimes. And you may have to carry them for a long time. You may have to excuse them for a long time. So I finished the mission here basically, and I'll get back to that. One of the dudes I was saving ended up being a bad person, and we kind of helped him out. And there's 3 factions on this planet. There's that I care about. There's me, what my mission is, the Republic Army, and the Balmorra Resistance. The Balmorra Resistance I do all this work. They got to the weapon first. They want to take the weapon. We needed the weapon because we need to stop the Emperor. So we do a trade. Not everyone's happy with it, but sometimes you got to work to what you got to do. And that's another thing about this game. There's a lot of choices. Things are getting super complicated at this point. So sometimes it doesn't matter who's with you. It doesn't matter what tools you have. It doesn't matter that you're not on a Mac and you're on a PC or vice versa, or that you have this operating system or that, or if you have this size device or that, or you have this version of PowerPoint or that. What really matters is just still being successful. At the end of this video, you're seeing me. I have to go through and I have a little quest with each of these companions to increase their, every time I talk to them, I increase their likability with me and whatever. I don't answer all the questions correctly because some of the Doc's still trying to kiss me at this point. Dude, I don't want to kiss you. I appreciate doing the mission, but I don't want any kisses, Doc. Whatever, dude. And I talk to T7 and I go back talk to Kira. So just go through, make the best of it, and then see where it takes you. A lot of times you can't control it. A lot of times we get upset over things that don't even happen, but they're the things that we think about. And we're limited to what we can think about in the future. Easy for you to say, YouTube. I'm going to let you go now because of my video glitch. Talk to you soon, YouTube. Ronan Kazi out.